Hello, it's me Hamza, but with curly hair and not a fucked up ear. Anyway, welcome back everyone. Today, talking about negative feedback loops. Now, the other words for negative feedback loops are bubbles. Um, what's it called? That's all I can think of now. But anyway, um, we're talking about negative feedback loops and why they're one of the worst things to come out of social media of our current society. And I'm going to break it down. So, first of all, we were before anything we were primates. So we were monkeys, or even a bit before that we can go to make it a bit more easier. We were we lived in tiny villages, right? Tiny villages. Villages, let's say they consisted of 30 to 50 people. Now, usually, how do I say this? Usually, there was a simple hierarchy where there was usually a few of the best, some of the worst, a lot in the middle, and stuff like that. I never, and there's a classic version of hierarchies and all of that. Now, how do I describe this? So there wasn't feedback loops weren't a thing back then, and I'm not talking about how all their all tribals opinion like everyone in that tiny village had very different and diversified opinions. No, that's not what I was trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that the tiny little point I'm trying to make first is that social media, which everyone knows, is very new and it affects our psychology a lot. That's the first point. Maybe I started off bad. Sorry about that, but that's my first point. Sorry if I'm sniffy. It's cold. But my next point is how social media benefits off of feedback loops. Simply, so you have an opinion. You have a set of opinions, and all humans want to be known as the best, most based, most better, the good people, right? They want to be known as the good guys. No one wants to be that unless you're kind of damaged. You don't want to be known as the bad guy. You want to be known as the savior. Hitler wanted to be known as a savior. Everyone wants to be known as this great guy. All right, simple. Not even they don't even have to be amazing. They just have to be good, right? So, the way social media companies profit off this idea is that they have feedback loops. These algorithms, whether it was intentional or not, I feel like it was unintentional at first, and then it became more intentional. Was to and this is to attract people to use the apps. The most popular one, or the not the most popular social media platform, but the most perfect example of this is with Twitter. Let's say I'm left wing. I Let's say I'm gonna give two examples because it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you range on. Let's say I'm super left wing. I'm confused about my sexuality, and yeah, that's all there needs to be. Unless I've got a bit of conservative parents, all right. And I look at and I scroll through my Twitter who that doesn't really have much information on me to begin with, and I see, oh, young woman comes out at age 40 as transgender, and I say, oh, wow, isn't that cool? Like, now I see slowly, oh, um, oh wow, kid decides she's asexual right around puberty. Oh wow, that's really cool. And then all of a sudden, oh wow, this is really relatable stuff. I don't want to click on the other stuff that doesn't make me comfortable. These guys, I'm clearly seeing stuff that shows me that I'm not alone. I'm not alone, and people feel the same way that I do when this is all online. All right, so you could argue that this is completely parasocial. All right, I'm not saying it is because sometimes they reach out. You have communications with the person, but usually it's a fairly parasocial thing. All right, and this works on the other side. Let's say you have a super right wing person. Let's say it's a guy. let's say I've never kissed a girl. I'm so upset. My parents don't give me attention, and I see, oh wow, Andrew Tate, he's a bit of a funny guy, like that. Move. Oh, Full Sense podcast. Wow. Yeah, that's right. You show those women, show those drunk women that that you're the boss. Yeah, I like that. Then you keep scrolling, and then, wow, I'm in a zone where I feel comfortable, and I know that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only Sigma out there in this universe. All right. And notice how there there's two completely different, very different opinions, but they're entranced in the same way. All right. Now, the thing that the main things that these two things have in common is mainly loneliness, and I wish I mentioned this in my loneliness thing, but or maybe I did. I don't think I did though, but loneliness is kind of the reason why we get so sucked into social media, right? And this relates to feedback loops because feedback loops is like a pill for loneliness. It's like, oh, okay, I have this. Even YouTube or even any of this, it's like anyone who like does all of this thing like Reddit, like, oh, it talks, it's even if it's not always a parasocial relationship, it shows that if you're really talking to random people online like a lot, not that it's not a good thing. Like, hopefully I want to be to the point where people tell me stories like Gerbert and stuff like that, and I can respond to them. That's fine, obviously, because it relates to, like, I don't know, but I'm talking about the people who get so obsessed in these loops and these stories that they're in, that they get so impressionable, and they start to lose their own sense of identity, whether it's on the right or whether it's on both sides of the aisle, all right. And this is a big deal because it creates a very bad hierarchy, completely unlike how it was back in the day, where there's a very select people at the top and a lot of people who just listen and follow just because they're alone. And let's say someone at the bottom had let's say someone at the bottom had an opinion that completely differs to those at the top. You think they're just gonna allow that? No. They're already completely sucked up in all the attention and fame and everything from people at the bottom. That what like no, your opinion is great, but I don't want it, alright? Like, get cyberbullied out of here. And the big issue is that when we allow this to happen, we allow, it goes to this extreme. This is like Jordan Peterson not wanting to call someone a they. This is like, oh, it gets to the extreme of, okay, if these people are doing it, I'm gonna do it. It creates such a hive mind mentality that it's the thing that could destroy our society. Especially if it's triggered by loneliness, all right? It's a big, big deal. For example, let's say there was a group. Let's say, it doesn't matter right or left. I'm just gonna pick left, all right? Let's say the lefts were like, oh, look at this person, she self-harmed, and now this person is self-harming themselves. Oh, isn't that amazing? It's so good that they can be recognized, and yeah, it's normal. It's okay to self-harm. You're just in a bit of a rough state. We can pull you out of there. Make sure it's known. Now, it's true. Everything they said is true, but apart from the fact that people are normalizing a lot of things that shouldn't be normal, all right? Especially nowadays, a lot of things. First of all, this is a bit of a rough take. Your sexuality should not be your identity, and feedback loops, um, feedback loops, feedback loops encourage your identity to be about your sexuality. Because the hierarchy it is in the modern left is that if you're like if you're like transgender, lesbian, blah blah blah, like dye my hair blue, but I'm also feel like a cat sometimes. You're at the top, but But if you want to be part of the hierarchy, and if you want to be part of the feedback loop, and you're a white male, you're probably at the bottom, and that's bad. And I don't want to be like show that I'm like politically, I'm definitely on the right. No, this the same can go for the right. With the right, you could say that, oh, okay, um, the best person is the person that's completely jacked, completely swears everyone off, is the richest, is this, is that, and the person at the lowest is the skinny guy who's very sensitive. All right. So the issue with this is that we rely so heavily on this hierarchy. First of all, because we're human and we need hierarchies, which is normal. But second of all, because social media wants you to do that. Social media will very rarely recommend someone on the right, something from the left, something from the left, something on the right. And it makes sense from a business perspective because people will use the app less. If you recommend someone on the left that's on the right constantly, then they won't really want to use the platform anymore. Or even worse, they'll feel even more alone. So, what's the solution? These feedback loops can have a lot of negative harm on everyone from both sides. Like, for example, I didn't mention there could be self harm tolerance on the left, but on the right there could be blatant sex blatant sexism, right? Even if someone like Andrew Tate doesn't mean to be sexist or misogynist, when, okay, let's all be honest, some of his takes are misogynist. We can't deny that. I think a lot of his takes are good, but there's a certain amount of misogyny in there, which is wrong. But and once again, people in that feedback loop who are very impressionable, especially my generation and the generation below that, and even the generation above that, are all very impressionable and can all be subject to self-loathing or stuff like that, basically, which is a big deal, a very big deal. Sorry, the camera's acting like a spaz again, which really annoys me. I don't know why it does this. But, anyways, it's not good. Now, what's the solution to this? Oh, it's a tough one. I would say the solution is to make, I don't know. I would say the only solution would be to not have Okay, well, here's the big issue first. I want to mention this because I don't think I have enough in depth. So there's the issues that I've mentioned with feedback loops, being that they're feedback loops and bubbles, so you don't get to acknowledge the other side and so on. But the main issue is that, I'm starting to believe that what Gerbert said a bit, he said, all right, the way our society is going, and his very cynical point of view, is that companies and even more people at the top are trying to create the perfect consumer. Now, the perfect consumer would be someone that constantly that works without being able to reach the top, and to do that, they can't have much motivation to reach that point in the first place. That's why so men's testosterone levels is going down drastically. That's very good. It's very good for the people at the top because it means that men have less ambition. And for women, they get to be we get to we get to men are enabling women on a pedestal nowadays with what's it called, dating apps and everything, which causes the paradox of choice to happen, which makes women more depressed as well. So it's a disaster. So maybe it's true. Maybe we're creating the perfect consumer where we we don't have any motivation. We buy products to fill the void inside. Pornography takes over our lives, And yeah, it's a disaster. It's very cynical. I know it's the most one of the most cynical things I've said. Like it makes me sad saying it out loud, and I haven't even described like it in proper depth. I want to. But what's the solution to this? Well, the sad thing is they're made for humans, and I don't ever say this. I think this is stupid. When I hear my friend says it, humans are dumb. Humans can be very, very, very stupid. People mention, oh, the bubbles, the bubbles, the bubbles. They all live in it. They mention it. Like a lot of people know that this is happening, but they don't do anything about it because they don't know the real consequences of what's happening. They're big consequences, like I've said, they're big, huge, incredible consequences. We're not doing anything about it right now. And I think what we need to do, I mean, let's say this, the simple sunshine and butterfly thing would be, alright, let's create a new independent social media platform where there's no real algorithm. And whatever is there is the newest thing. Well, you run into many problems with that. First one being, alright, a terrorist group is going to post a bunch of propaganda and everyone will be forced to look at it. And people will take it down, sure, we can take it down, but, excuse me, we'll still, like, it'll be very impressionable for a lot of people. And another big issue with that would be, alright, we're not going to grab much people's attention. Once again, people are stupid, they don't want to do this. Twitter, oh yeah, Twitter makes me feel good scrolling. Oh, I can even have a few arguments if I ever step outside my bubble or anything. Twitter, Twitter's just better than what I've said. So, oh, the solution is, and you could say, oh yeah, but I'm better than that. I'm not gonna overcome. I know I live in a bubble. All right, I know there's this kind of bubble around me, but I don't care. I know the other side, and I'm completely objective, and I can still hear the other side. I just don't agree with them. Well, subconsciously you do. Subconsciously, there's always an impression you have for your bubble. I don't know how to describe it. It's like people, you share the same viewpoints as people. You start to detach from your own identity and get into this group mentality, all right? Even if it's subconscious, even on a subconscious level. And it's just it's a big it's a big deal. I'm really trying to I need to know more about this. But you get the point. It's bad, and from the way things are going, we're giving people at the very small, tiny, minute minority people at the top all the power. All right, whether it's on, no matter what political opinion you have or opinion, it goes way deeper than that. All right, it goes to them playing on our biology and them using our biology for wrong means. All right, and it's just bad. It's just not dope. It's just a bit cringe, isn't it? It's just a bit cringe. But another solution could just be get off social media for a while. Just don't use social media, and maybe join a few debates with other people. See, I tried that, and okay, I went to debate club. I quit it. First of all, because I'm practicing for SATs and everything and revision, and I've got other things on my plate. But also because there were I didn't like having the same discussions with the same group of people with the same kind of mentality. That the majority of them were super left wing, super this, super that, modern left wing. I'm talking about, and the other bit were like really kind of right wingy. I don't know how to describe it. I just I just felt like it was more of more of an art, mm, more of a debate kind of. I wanted to have like I thought it was gonna be like a formal debate with another opposing side. I don't know what I wanted. It just didn't feel right. I just didn't vibe with the people. But that doesn't matter. All right, that does not matter at all. The point I'm trying to make is that negative feedback loops are very, very bad and dangerous. People need to know more about it. People don't need to know more about it. No, sorry. People need to take more action about it. And and that's all I can say. Just remain objective as possible. Do good stuff. Live, love, learn. Don't have much else to say. But yeah. Bye.